Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so very much for tuning in. My name is DeShara Doub, and I'm the founder and chief executive officer of Vision of Promise LLC. And today we are celebrating Wellness Wednesday as well as Mental Health Awareness Month by providing some quick tips regarding preparing to see a therapist. So if you have not already, again, thank you for tuning in. We do have a Facebook page, Vision of Promise LLC. Please make sure you like that and share that with your contacts, with your network, and with your loved ones. We also have an Instagram where we share wellness tips throughout the week. Again, that's also Vision of Promise LLC. Go ahead and like that as well. And also, if you have questions about any of the things that I am discussing today or want to learn more about us as an organization, please visit our website, www.thevisionofpromise.com. So again, thank you so very much for tuning in. Whether you're tuning in live or you are watching the replay, we sincerely appreciate your support. So let's dive right into how to prepare for a therapist. The idea of mental health and wellness has been a conversation that has really rapidly grown within the last, I would say, couple of months to even a year. And it has been a very exciting time for a lot of people to talk about their wellness. A lot of people think of wellness as eating right, exercising, but also mental health is such a pinnacle and crucial part of your wellness routine, and a lot of times it has been stigmatized. A lot of people have had concerns about it, and so hopefully this quick broadcast will provide some context in terms of finding a therapist and what are some things that you need to be seeking out on your own. So the very first thing that I will tell you is that therapists are not created equal. Right? We have all types of specializations, many different things that we focus on, very wide range of education that we have obtained. And so I definitely encourage people to inquire with therapists that you're interested in. There's many different platforms online to seek therapists, whether it's Psychology Today, Good Therapy, Therapy for Black girls, many different platforms, many different social media handles that provide information and education around seeking professional services in your area. So I would definitely encourage you to not only research therapists, but also inquire if they have a consultation platform that you can get to know them and see if they were right for you. One of the things that I'm very proud of about Vision of Promise LLC is we do provide free phone consultations. It provides an opportunity for you to get to know me, also get to know Vision of Promise as an entity, to see if this is something that will pique your interest, as well as if it will touch and be able to attend to the things that are concerning the most for you. And so I definitely encourage anyone that is seeking any type of services, whether it's mental health or it's even physical health, definitely do your research on the individual that will be providing you services, as well as ask questions and see if that is something that they can provide for you. Is a consultation. Consultations is something that, again, it could be free, but it's also brief. It provides you an opportunity to get to know that person and share with them some of the concerns that will be bringing you to therapy. So again, that's something that can be very helpful for you as well. I also let people know that it is very important prior to going into the therapeutic process to really look into fees. Right. So a lot of individuals utilize therapy through their insurance or through a employee assistance program, also known as EAP, which it's brief therapy. It's about 7 sessions that is provided by your employer. And so that is something that a lot of people start to seek in terms of therapeutic services and how they enter into it. I definitely encourage people that once they've kind of find a therapist that they are interested in, to definitely look into if that therapist is in their network. If they desire to use their insurance, you can do that as simple as turn to the back of your insurance card and contact that 1-800 number or that local number, and you can ask them if that therapist or if that counselor is in their area, as well as you can actually go online. Many insurance companies have personal portals for their customers, and you can type in that therapist to see if they're in your in-network area. A lot of therapists also have private pay services as well. There are some individuals that choose not to use their insurance for many different reasons. And so a private pay option can be something that can be more suitable for the needs of some professionals and some individuals that are seeking services. And so I would definitely recommend, for one, if you choose to use your insurance, go ahead and contact your insurance company or go on your online portal to see if that therapist is in your network. And if you decide that you don't want to use your insurance or don't have insurance at all, I would definitely highly recommend for you to research that therapist and see what their fees are. That way you will have a good understanding prior to seeking services of what those fees look like. And you can ask that right up front, and you can even ask that during your consultation. A lot of therapists have what is called a sliding fee scale, which means if you have an inability to pay for many different reasons, whether you are just lost your job, whether you're a student, whether you're low income, many different reasons, there are therapists that offer sliding fee scales, which means they either do income-based type fee systems, or they will work with you based off of your needs. And so if that's something that you are concerned about, I would highly recommend during your consultation with that therapist to inquire about that, if that's something that they offer. A lot of times when people use their insurance, they'll have a copay. The copay is different depending on the insurance, and so I would definitely encourage you to look into that and see if that's something that's affordable for you. A lot of times when people think about therapists, they think that it's something that is very expensive and very much out of their budget range, but therapy is definitely something that's an investment in your health, just like if you were to go for like your annual exams or go for a dental cleaning, or even if you have a membership at a gym. I think that it falls right into that budget category, and so I would definitely highly encourage you to look around and see who is not only the right therapist for you in terms of you meshing well with that therapist. Maybe they have the same background as you, they have an area that is of interest to you, but definitely look at if their fees are best suited for your budget. And if it's not, definitely inquire with them. It doesn't hurt to ask if that fee can be lowered or if they have a sliding fee scale. So definitely I would encourage you to do that. Once you schedule your session, I would highly encourage you to arrive early. One of the things a lot of people don't realize that are not in the therapeutic world is that we go by a therapeutic hour, which means that typically, in kind of a typical circumstance, the therapy, you would think your hour would be 60 minutes. But in the therapy world, the hour is actually 50 minutes. So 50 minutes is your allotted time for therapy. And so when you arrive early, that will give you an opportunity to kind of, get some breaths, kind of prepare for the session, and also jot down some things that you want to talk about during therapy. It ensures that you get your full 50 minutes. A lot of times, and I am guilty of this myself, you are in a rush and you're trying to go and do things and you're falling behind, and you might go into an appointment maybe a little later than you anticipate. Just recognize that because therapist time is so crucial, that a lot of times therapists cannot offer you additional minutes when you are running late. And so just keep in mind that typical therapy sessions are 50 minutes instead of your usual 60 minutes or an hour. So just keep that in mind, and I will definitely encourage you to come early so you can get the full benefits of therapy. During your therapy sessions, there are many times that there are discussions that are had that are difficult. Many recommendations that your therapist will provide for you. And so one thing that I encourage people to do is when you are getting advice or wise counsel from your therapist on different things to try throughout the week, whether it's self-care practices, whether it's homework, definitely apply what you are utilizing in therapy throughout the week. right? One of the things that a lot of people don't realize about therapy is most times people have therapy maybe once a week, right? And so those additional times outside of that, that's when you're really going to start seeing the benefits of it if you put into practice the thing that your therapist is recommending. And so I definitely encourage people that when they are in therapy, definitely ask questions and really seep in what your therapist is saying, but definitely go ahead and apply those practices once you're out the therapeutic space as well. So again, bring a notebook, write things down, but definitely apply the recommendations that your therapist is offering. That's when you're really going to see the difference. Bringing a piece of paper, I would even say maybe create a journal. A lot of times when you are in therapy or even after your therapy, sometimes there's things that your therapist says that really resonates with you that you think about outside of the space with them. And I think it could be something that will be really important to go ahead and create a journal and start jotting some of those things down, jot down your thoughts, jot down the things that maybe you have questions about that you want to present at the next therapy session. I think journaling is something that is a wonderful self-care activity. It can allow for you to really jot down and really empty out your thoughts. A lot of us, including myself, we have so many things going on in our mind that sometimes we're not even able to fully rest because we have our mind is always going. And so having some type of small journal or some type of small notebook, even if it's by your bed or if you carry it in a work bag or have it in your car, just have something that can be able to help you kind of jot down those things and those feelings that you have so you can be able to truly process those things even outside of the therapeutic space. Be honest with your therapist. I think that is one thing that a lot of times, people have skepticism about the therapeutic process. And one of the things that I tell people is the therapist is there to serve you. Right? If there are things that you're concerned about, if there's things that maybe you have been skeptical of talking to anyone about, therapist is bound by HIPAA. We have to keep your information confidential. Now, again, I would encourage you to utilize that space. Again, you have to get to know your therapist. You want to have some comfort with your therapist, but I would definitely encourage you to utilize that time to really talk about things that you might not have been comfortable talking to other people about before. One of the really great things about therapy is it's not a friendship. It's not a family member. It's not a coworker. It is someone that is there for your interests. Right? So you could be able to talk to them about anything, your deepest, darkest secrets, things that have been really burning in the back of your mind for a long time. You are able to bring those things into therapy. And trust me when I say therapists are very highly qualified. You don't have to worry about us, being concerned and maybe, being a burden to us. That's what we're here for. And so you don't have to worry about carrying that load on your own. Definitely feel like that therapy is a space for you to be able to talk through a lot of the concerns and issues that you have been having that maybe you have not felt comfortable sharing with others. One of the things I will also say as well is therapy can be hard work, right? Therapy is a space that it's a space of processing. It's a space of really talking about things that have been issues for you. And it also is an accountability space as well. So one of the things that I do with clients all the time is I ask them, how has your self-care been this past week? And sometimes they'll be like, well, I didn't have time and things like that. And of course, it is said with love, absolutely. But one of the things that I would say to you is definitely utilize that space and be open to the therapeutic process because things can be difficult to hear. Things can be difficult to process. And so one of the things that I would highly encourage you to do within your therapy space is if there is anything that is talked about in therapy that maybe is of a concern for you, maybe it's something that you have questions about, maybe you didn't like something that the therapist says, maybe you need clarification. A lot of times, and I'm personally guilty of this as well, when you have done therapy for so long, sometimes even the language that that you use, the words that you use can be very abstract. It can be beyond the understanding of someone that doesn't understand psychology or mental health language. And so if your therapist ever uses a word or says something to you, you don't quite understand what they mean, I would definitely encourage you to ask them and say, hey, I don't quite understand what that means. Can you explain that to me? It is our responsibilities to make sure that the information that we're giving to you is something that you understand. So definitely feel that you have the agency and you have the right to ask questions or even disagree with your therapist. That's what we're here for. If you feel like that you're not getting what you need out of therapy, a lot of times people come in, they might not know what their goals are in terms of what are they seeking from therapy, maybe what are some of the concerns that they have, but they just say, I want to be better. I want to resolve this issue that I've been having for a long time. If it gets to a point in the therapy process that maybe you feel like that the therapist has not addressed, or you all have not talked about the things that you desire to talk about, say something. It is something that's so important. We are like any other profession, whether it's a professor, a teacher, a doctor. We always appreciate feedback. So if there is an opportunity, if you have a therapy session and maybe you really want to talk about something, or as you are reflecting outside of therapy and maybe you have some concerns about a particular subject matter, definitely let us know. We can definitely adjust how therapy is working and definitely make sure that we are attending to the needs that you have. Therapy, again, is a safe space. I really want to stress that. You can talk about anything you want to. I have had situations where clients come in and say, I have never said this before to anybody. And I feel very privileged when people feel so open to share things that maybe they have had fear about sharing in the past. And so one of the things I would definitely encourage you to do is that's what therapy is for. Speak about the things that are concerning for you. Speak about the things that you have had issues with in the past. Again, I'm speaking for myself as a therapist. I'm speaking on behalf of Vision of Promise LLC, but definitely talk to therapists if there are things that you're concerned about. If you're not quite sure if you should speak about certain things in therapy, I would definitely encourage you to talk to that therapist and let them know that, there is something that you really want to talk about and you're not sure if you feel safe, or you're scared, or you have some weariness about speaking about that. Definitely talk to them about that. Our hope is that you feel comfortable in the therapeutic space to be able to share the things that maybe you wouldn't be able to share anywhere else. Again, if you don't understand something that your therapist is saying, definitely ask. Absolutely. And I'll take a pause really quick. Again, thank you so much if you are here live or if you are watching the replay. Again, my name is DeShara Doub, and I'm the founder and chief executive officer of Vision of Promise LLC. Go ahead and like our Facebook and Instagram pages. Again, it's Vision of Promise LLC. And to learn more about me and more about Vision of Promise, definitely visit our website, www.thevisionofpromise.com. And again, just thank you so very much for your time, whether you are live or you're watching the replay. Okay. Moving forward in terms of how to prepare to see a therapist. One thing I definitely encourage people to do is when you are in a therapeutic process, I challenge people and encourage them to be open. The therapy process is something that is very different from anything you have ever experienced before. Again, there are concepts that are new. You are getting educated. You are really expressing the things that have been of concern to you that will bring you in therapy in the first place. And I would definitely encourage everyone to trust the therapeutic process. We are highly qualified professionals. We are not going to hurt you in any type of way. We definitely are here to support you and encourage you and make sure that you are getting better. that you are feeling whole. We want to give you the tools that are necessary for you to be able to handle any challenges that might come your way in the future. And so definitely trust the process. There's sometimes in therapy you are like, I don't know where this is going, or why are you asking me this question? Again, definitely be open to the process. We have methods to what we're asking you and what we're trying to do. Doing your homework is really important. A lot of therapists are very oriented in providing reflection activities and things for you to do outside of the therapy space, again, to enhance your therapeutic experience. So one thing I would highly encourage you to do is definitely do your homework. If a therapist asks you to journal, if they ask you to do some type of activity or to reflect on something or even research something, I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and do that. Again, it is to your benefit to take the recommendations that the therapist is having and go ahead and move forward with that. Another thing is, growth can be uncomfortable, but trust that everything that is happening is working. I think it's like that with anything. Just being human and going through life, things can be very challenging. We can be stretched beyond our wildest imagination. We can go through things that we never thought that we would be able to handle. But I think that that's one really beautiful thing about therapy, is that it's an outside person that is coming, that is in your interest, that's going to be able to talk to you and walk you through different things that you're experiencing. And so I would definitely highly encourage you to definitely know that the therapeutic process, it will stretch you, it will encourage you, and it will actually bring up some things for you possibly that you didn't even consider. And so definitely trusting that process is something that is extremely important. Finally, if you are feeling stuck at all, if you feel like, oh, I don't know if I should go to therapy today because I don't have anything to talk about, or if you have any concerns about the therapy process at the very beginning or even throughout the process, definitely talk to your therapist. There is this idea of ghosting, right? And I'm sure many other professionals deal with this, where you have an expected appointment and the person no shows, or the person doesn't come, or they come late, or they call and say they can't make it at the last minute. A lot of times people do that because sometimes they feel like, oh, well, I'm better, or, oh, this issue isn't a concern anymore, I can go ahead and move on. One thing that is really important is that if there is at any point in time that you're ever feeling that I'm not quite sure if this is still beneficial for me, or if I'm still getting what I need, or if maybe the therapist has already addressed the concern that actually brought me here in the first place, definitely communicate that with your therapist. I think that's something that is extremely important. You want to sustain a good relationship with your therapist. Some people have therapy for long periods of time, and some people just need therapy to just check in when certain things are occurring. But I definitely will encourage you to, if there is ever any concerns or you feel like that your therapeutic process has concluded, I would definitely encourage you to talk to your therapist about that. Don't just no-show. Don't just say, oh, I'm not going to schedule any more appointments, or I'm just going to cancel and not come back. Definitely have that communication with your therapist, because again, you never know when you might need that service again. And especially if they was a great therapist to you, you want to make sure that you communicate. And if you decide to discontinue, that's okay, but you want to leave on a good note, and you want to make sure that you communicate that with that therapist, so that therapist can also be able to ensure that you receive the proper care, and also make it a learning experience for them. If there was something that wasn't working, if there was something that maybe could be tweaked, again, it's a learning process for us. Therapists go through tireless hours of continuing education every year to sustain our licenses. And so that's something that we are constantly always in the learning process ourselves. So definitely make sure that if at any point in time you're feeling stuck, or you have questions, or even have reservations about therapy at all, definitely talk to your therapist about that. The final recommendation I have for you when it comes to seeing and preparing for a therapist, I highly encourage you to block out time before and after your session. before your session can give you that opportunity to just get a breather. If you had a busy morning, if you are running around doing errands, if you just got off of work or in the middle of a break from work, it gives you an opportunity to kind of breathe so you can prepare your mind for what is about to occur. Also, after sessions, so a lot of times therapy sessions can be difficult for people, especially if you're talking about trauma, if you're talking about loss and grief at all. It's something that could be extremely hard for people to process. And so I definitely encourage people after your therapy session, maybe take yourself, to get your favorite meal, or sit in the park for a little bit, sit in the parking lot of wherever you are and journal. Do whatever is necessary to ensure that you're taking care of yourself after that process. It's something that is very important. You never want to just jump from a therapy session to doing something that, your mind is probably not going to be on the next phase of what you have to do. And so I think it's important, even with you experiencing therapy, and that's an active self-care, that you also take care of yourself and do the things that are necessary after the fact, to ensure that you are able to, one, get the full benefit out of therapy and really, do what's necessary for you to take care of yourself, but also prepare yourself for that next thing you have to do, whether it's going back to your loved one, going back to work, going on to the next thing that you have to do that day. Definitely carve out the necessary time before and after a session. I'll probably say 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Again, some sessions can be maybe more challenging than others in terms of the things that you all talk about. So sometimes people have to take the rest of the day to just have self-care. Again, as you're going through the therapy process, that is something that you can also talk to your therapist about, is just trying to implement some self-care and making sure that you're doing what you need to do to ensure your wellness is going really well. So again, I hope that this was helpful for you. I didn't want to be before you long, but I think it's really important, as we're talking about mental health and wellness, that we talk about how do we even prepare to move forward with seeing a therapist or seeing a counselor. Again, all the things that I expressed to you are my views. As a marriage and family therapist associate, I have been to school. I've had many different experiences, and my opinions are mine alone. But I definitely will encourage you to do your research. Contact some other therapists around you. There's therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists. There are many different qualified professionals that can be able to assist you in whatever area that is most concerning to you, that will want to bring you in. And again, if you're even interested in Vision of Promise LLC, I would definitely encourage you to visit our website, www.thevisionofpromise.com. And we also have social media. So I'm on Facebook Live right now. Make sure you like our page, Vision of Promise LLC. And also we have an Instagram. So again, I am so grateful and so honored that you took out time to be live with me today or to watch our replay. If you have any questions at all, you are more than welcome to either comment on this live, or if you want to have a private question, that is perfectly okay. You can either message us through Facebook or through Instagram, or you can send us an email at thevisionofpromise@gmail.com. So again, thank you so very much for spending your Wednesday with us. We sincerely appreciate it. Again, check us out on social media and our website. And next Wednesday, same time, same place, we will be having another live to celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month. So again, thank you so very much, and we look forward to helping you on your path to wholeness. Have a wonderful rest of the day.